Good day and welcome to the Milton Friedman Legacy Day, How Educational Freedom Benefits Women press call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Executive Director of Independent Women's Forum, Ms. Sabrina Schaefer. Please go ahead.
Thank you. This is Sabrina Schaefer. I'm the Executive Director of the Independent Women's Forum, and I want to thank all of you for joining IWF this morning to help honor Milton Friedman's legacy by acknowledging the successes in educational freedom today and also to voice our concerns about the limits of school choice still present today. As a reminder, this information and our analysis will be available after this call on the IWF website, www.iwf.org. The Independent Women's Forum is a nonpartisan 501c3 research and educational institution dedicated to expanding the conservative coalition by increasing the number of women who understand and value the benefits of limited government, personal liberty, and free market. Now, for too long, America has suffered from a lack of an education marketplace. A rigid public school system controlled by America's teachers' unions has made it difficult to create new opportunities that better suit individual and family needs. Little by little, we are seeing that this is beginning to change, and today a paradigm shift in education is benefiting women and society at large. Thanks to education tax credits, vouchers, charters, and education savings accounts, new markets and opportunities in education are slowly developing at the K-12 level, and parents increasingly have more choice in where to send their children to school, although still not enough choice. Similarly, an expanding marketplace helps women who are now better able to pursue advanced education by making use of flexible work schedules, pursuing at-home learning options, and other continuing education opportunities to better help themselves. Of course, it's not only as students that women and girls are benefiting. As educators, women benefit from a more diversified education marketplace where there are new opportunities to use their skills and earn a living with schedules, locations, and work environments that are best suited to them. At IWF, we know that the feminization of poverty is a real problem, and it's true that financial hardships plague many of America's working women and their families, especially unmarried women. But too often, progressives perpetuate the myth that America is inherently unfair to women and girls and encourage even greater dependence on the state. And their solutions are just more of the same government-centered policies that put Washington in charge rather than individuals. That's why on Friedman Legacy Day, we urge lawmakers to consider how smart education policy that enables freedom of choice can truly help women without turning them into a victim class. IWF hopes lawmakers at the state level, where so many education decisions are made, to consider how women would benefit from the creation of a real market in education and give women and girls the freedom of choice that will ultimately generate greater economic opportunity, success, and happiness. And we urge Democrats in Congress to stop criminalizing for-profit colleges, which may not be perfect, but provide women an opportunity to improve their circumstances. On Friedman Legacy Day, we should dial down the hysterics around for-profit schools and acknowledge that they really are largely equivalent in terms of cost and graduation rates to the rest of higher education. And most importantly, they provide access to education for many, especially women, who otherwise wouldn't have such opportunities. Certainly, all of this is just the tip of the iceberg. We are a long way away from truly fulfilling Milton Friedman's promise of having a true marketplace in education, where school choice bills are not fought tooth and nail in court, where all parents, rich and poor, can send their children to a school that is safe, where school systems don't abuse taxpayer dollars and schools are more affordable, where government is not at war with for-profit education institutions, and where both men and women have more choice and freedom over how and what they learn. The default position in America continues to have government in the driver's seat when it comes to finding solutions to our education challenges. But the reality is that most government programs and policies, no matter how well-intentioned, limit women and girls' freedom to learn, teach, and have the greatest opportunity for success. We all want to solve the real problem of education in our country and make sure more girls and boys, women and men have the opportunity to succeed. The Independent Women's Forum places a high value on educational freedom because no issue is more personal than a child's education, and perhaps no issue can better help women and their families move up the economic ladder. So with that, I will turn the conversation to Vicki Alger, Senior Fellow in Education at the Independent Women's Forum.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you to our participants joining us. Today marks would have been Milton Friedman's 102nd birthday. He was a Nobel Prize-winning economist. He was integral to ending the draft and replacing it with an all-volunteer military, and he was a key advisor to President Ronald Reagan. But above all, Friedman championed individual liberty and free markets instead of expansive and intrusive government. This included his belief that all parents, regardless of their incomes or addresses, should be free to choose their children's schools. Friedman made this argument nearly 60 years ago in his 1955 article, The Role of Government in Education, which was later included in his 1962 book, Capitalism and Freedom. Just because we publicly fund schools through government, he argued, that doesn't mean we should hand control over schools to government. In other words, parents, not politicians, should decide what schools or other educational settings are best for other people's children. Consider, it makes little sense that today 18-year-olds can use public funds to attend colleges and universities of their choice, regardless of where those universities or colleges are located, whether they're public or private. But once those young people become parents, they cannot similarly use public funds to send their own children to the schools of their choice. Friedman agreed that this made no sense, and that's why back in 1955, 25 years before the creation of the U.S. Department of Education, he advocated voucher scholarships. Similar to college Pell Grants, K-12 vouchers are publicly funded scholarships that help parents pay for private school tuition. Today, K-12 education options have extended way beyond vouchers, as we'll discuss in a few moments. But as we grow accustomed to an ever-increasing array of options in our everyday lives, from coffee drinks to on-demand entertainment to how we get our news, we become less tolerant of government micromanaging our options concerning our and our children's education. So let's turn to how women are benefiting from educational choice as students themselves, as educators, and as parents. Fortunately today, a growing education marketplace is benefiting women and society. But as Sabrina mentioned, we have more work to do to fulfill Friedman's promise. Let's start with the good news. Today, more women than ever are pursuing higher education that works best for them and their career goals, making use of flexible schedules, at-home education options, and other continuing on-demand education options. Currently, female undergraduate enrollment outpaces that of their male counterparts by almost 1.5 to 1. Since the late 1970s, the share of women with college degrees has skyrocketed from just 11% up to 38% today. Also today, a record proportion of American men and women, 30% each, hold college or advanced degrees. And over the next decade, women are projected to earn a majority of bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. Women are particularly benefiting from the new educational options for adults. For example, women are more likely than men to be enrolled in online degree programs offering non-traditional class schedules. These new options are particularly important for women who are typically responsible for the care of young children and other relatives, which can make it difficult to participate in more traditional schooling programs. Now, some believe that women are discouraged from pursuing education in disciplines that have traditionally been dominated by men. The anonymity of online courses may help minimize the impact of such stereotypes, could encourage women to try new subjects. Online courses could also erase safety concerns, which may impede some women in crime-ridden areas from continuing at school. Yet, only 14% of women with a college degree believe that higher education is affordable for most people today. Federal financial aid has done little to contain soaring college costs, and it stifles the flexibility people need because it links dollars to credit hours and seat time. Encouraging online and competency-based programs would allow students of all ages to progress at their own pace, focusing on the knowledge and skills they need when they need it. Such programs also introduce competition for students and funding, putting powerful pressure on all post-secondary institutions to keep costs low, program quality high, and the degree process streamlined. But women are also benefiting as educators, as teachers. with new opportunity to use their skills and earn a living with schedules and work environments that are best suited for them. Women represent close to 3/4 of all elementary and secondary school full-time teachers in the United States. One of the most attractive features we hear time and time again of this profession is having a work schedule that allows them to raise a family and earn a living. Teachers note that one of the very best aspects of their jobs is the freedom to influence the mission and the curriculum at their schools to better help students reach their full academic potential. The growing variety of schools we have today, including public charter, virtual, blended online, traditional schools, helps make the teaching profession more attractive to a greater number of high-quality prospective teachers by offering even more flexible schedules, challenging classes, and more competitive compensation packages. A thriving education marketplace means more options for students as well as teachers. Schools offering different curricula, philosophies, schedules, all increase the likelihood that the best possible fit will happen between those schools and teachers, which helps improve job satisfaction and teaching performance. Because as we all know, effective teachers are the key factor for students' academic success. The most effective teachers increase student learning by more than 1.5 years in a single school year. Effective teachers can also improve their students' lifetime earnings by more than $400,000. A greater variety of schools would increase competition for top teachers, introduce strong incentives for schools to direct resources toward better salaries and rigorous professional development. Yet growing evidence also shows that paying teachers for years of service instead of success at educating students discourages talented individuals, especially women, from entering and remaining in the profession, lowering the quality of the teaching workforce in the United States overall. Virtually every other profession pays employees for performance. In fact, there's new research showing that students in countries where teachers are paid based on their performance also score higher on international assessments. Teachers should be free to choose whether they prefer to be paid according to a traditional salary schedule or according to performance-based plans. Consider, the average per pupil funding today in an American classroom exceeds $12,000, and there are about 16 students per classroom. That amounts to $192,000 per classroom. Yet teacher salaries average just around 30% of that amount at just over $56,000. If teacher salaries were just 50% of total classroom funds received, average teacher salaries would be $96,000. Teachers should be free to perform, and schools should be free to pay them top dollar for top quality work. And freedom also benefits students. More parents than ever before are participating in programs that allow them to choose their children's schools and the alternative education providers they think are best. Right now, over 300,000 school children are attending private schools of their parents' choice through 51 parental choice programs in 25 states, including the District of Columbia. These programs include publicly funded voucher scholarships, 23 programs in 13 states and the District of Columbia, privately funded tax credit scholarships. There are 18 programs in 15 states, and educational savings accounts, which allow parents to use a portion of what their states would have spent to educate their children in public schools for private school tuition, tutoring, online courses, and save any additional leftover funds for future education expenses such as college. So far, there are 2 states that have such programs. Aside from private schooling options, there are over 2 million students enrolled in part or full-time online schools. Another 2 million students are educated at home, while nearly 2.3 million students are attending public charter schools. Yet state lawmakers struggle to implement and expand school choice programs, as Sabrina explained earlier. Too many of these programs have geographical and student eligibility limitations. Even programs that are expanding by leaps and bounds are being challenged at the national level by the Obama administration. That's in spite of the fact that research overwhelmingly shows that children who participate in these programs do better academically in their chosen schools. They have higher high school graduation rates, higher college attendance rates, and college completion rates. And these programs are cost-effective. Research also consistently documents strong support for parental choice in education. Importantly, a majority of moms support vouchers, 71%. 79% of moms support tax credit scholarships, and 65% of moms support educational savings accounts, which just came onto the scene in 2011. The bottom line, do we want the most innovative and effective education system possible? Then we need to be expanding the freedom to choose the best education options for ourselves and our children. If anyone would like to follow up with IWF after our call, please contact IWF Communications Director Victoria Coley at victoria@iwf.org. And we'll now open up for any of your questions.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing